aren't very good on here, but those egg shapes are suggestive of the perspectives they included. So traditional included, of course, traditional perspective, and also began to accommodate modern needs. Modern education, I'm saying, embraces everything that traditional did, and also introduces a postmodern perspective indicated by the greenish tint at the top there. Modern education differs from traditional in that instead of simply pouring knowledge into kids, we said, well, we really want them to gain some understanding, some insights. And we don't need to do it simply by pouring knowledge into kids. Let's let them put their hands on things and develop those insights for themselves. And that's an innovation of modern education, learning by doing. Instead of simply obedience, we want, in modern perspective, in modern education, we want kids to learn to think. The curriculum, while no longer static, remains a pre-selected curriculum. There is surely acknowledgement in modern education that human knowledge is not static and is exploding. But we're going to pre-select, in Pennsylvania, 21 subject areas that we think are crucial, and we're going to convey those to children. So it's a pre-selected curriculum. Student rights have increased over what they were in traditional education. And I'm comparing here to a patient in the hospital, being exposed to a treatment as you would be in a hospital. Teachers' role has shifted some. Teachers are no longer entirely dictators. Some still are. But in a modern education point of view, teachers are more directors than they are dictators. And then along comes integral education, which intends to embrace traditional and modern, not lose any of what came before. In integral education, the focus is on experience. Doesn't make facts and insights go away, but the emphasis becomes experience in the real world, as the Circle School says, practicing life. The method becomes living rather than telling or doing. The imperative is to explore. It doesn't mean that we're not going to use traditional methods and modern methods, but explore becomes the primary imperative. The curriculum in integral education is open-ended, saying, acknowledging that human knowledge is not static, there's not a fixed taxonomy, it's not just exploded to a large level that we can now master in other ways. It's just open-ended. Human knowledge is open-ended, which was not accepted in earlier eras. In integral education, integral school student rights are expanded again to be comparable to the rights of adult citizens in the world. And the teacher's role, again, becomes less autocratic and more as a resource. And again, I want to point out, properties in this progression match what we've seen earlier. First of all, earlier forms remain. Modern education didn't replace traditional. Integral education doesn't replace modern. In modern schools, there's still plenty of traditional learning going on. Rote memorization, for example, is very rooted in traditional education. It still happens even in schools that clearly reflect a modern perspective. And the same goes for integral. In integral schools, we don't ignore facts, we don't ignore insights, we focus on experience. Rote memorization still has a place. If you want to do algebra and advanced math, if you come to me to do it at the Circle School, you better know your times tables, and if you don't, go away and memorize them and talk again. Rote memorization, traditional techniques don't go away, they have a place. The later is built on the earlier. I think I covered that. Emergent novelty, again, with each new form of education, something new emerges, a significant new layer of meaning, a new way of viewing the world. And that emergent novelty brings with it expanded possibilities, new ways of learning, a broader menu to choose from in terms of learning style, learning method, and even subject matter. And again, as in the earlier case, there we go. As earlier, we could see that each new form of education, each new era of education transcends and includes what came before. Questions or comments? Yes?
I taught for about 30 years, and I believe that there are still lots of schools and lots of teachers who are stuck in the traditional model. And I also think that under the modern era went back to education. How would the system test?
In the Bush era, what you're saying is that modern education took a step backwards. And I assume you're talking about No Child Left Behind. The focus on metrics, on measuring, led many schools to omit from the program enrichments that might have even been coming from a postmodern perspective. And your first comment was that you've been teaching you taught for 30 years, and you think that still there's much traditional education going on. It's stuck. It's stuck. It's a structure that's stuck in the traditional era. I think a lot of that is because there are economic interests that are served by keeping the world of education stuck. I don't think it's parents and children who are keeping school stuck. But let me ask that as a question of someone who taught for 30 years. What's keeping us stuck in traditional? Why is there so much traditional remaining?
I think it's partly because they want to keep us dumb so we can vote for the wrong people.
They want to keep us dumb so we can vote for the wrong people. Dumbing us down. You know, if you read the early literature, the writings of the folks back in the 1800s who were designing the public education system, you'll hear statements that are almost exactly that. Not exactly in those words, but almost exactly that. Seeking people who were obedient, who were passively compliant. And this was not necessarily motivated by evil intentions even. It was an expression of the view of the day that the world is a machine. Industry needs human beings who are very machine-like. And it served the interests of an industrial economy. Questions about governance and what role the community has in shaping each team. Can you say more about that? You mean the community as opposed to what?
So public schools in the town, serving that town, it seems like the feeling of that town, but is the community's sense of what's needed, or if they're afraid to move to a different model, they're going to perpetuate.
So what role might a community play in getting unstuck? Is that sort of, and what role can the community play? I guess we're all part of the community. My own view is that parents and children, for the most part, don't have a seat at the public policy table when it comes to education. That community influence is dominated by economic interests. Parents and